Welcome to Business Analytics course. This is Dr. Aruna, Associate Professor from MLR Institute of Technology. In today's session, we are going to discuss about measures of dispersion in Excel. So let us move into the Excel part. Now, say for example, we are having the data like 10, 20, 30, 40 and 55 observations we are having. In the previous session, we have seen what is range, what is quartile deviation, what is mean deviation, what is variance, and what is the standard deviation. These were the absolute measures of dispersion. Now, we have also seen the formulas associated with each of these measures. Let us now look into Excel how we are going to compute or how we are going to calculate the range for these data set. Now, as we have seen in the previous session, range is nothing but the difference between the highest observation and the lowest observation in the data set. Now, basically, for any function to be used in Excel, we have to start with equal to symbol is equal to the highest value. So, we don't have here the highest value. So, we are going to use max function, maximum. So, when we type the three alphabets, max, simply we are going to get a drop down menu. So, max, we are supposed to give the data set. So, this is the data set, B2 to B5 is the data set which we are having. So, this minus maximum of the data range minus minimum of the data range. Now, simply type MIN, 3 letters or 3 alphabets. So, double click. Now, again give the data set. So, that is B2 to B6. Close the bracket and press enter. Now, we got the answer 40. If we look at here, I am just highlighting with the yellow color. So, the highest observation was 50. The lowest observation was 10. So, 50 minus 10 which is equal to 40. Now, let's move forward for quartile deviation, the next measure. So, quartile deviation is the difference between third quartile and first quartile divided by 2. So, here is equal to, I am opening the bracket, okay, and for this we are supposed to write the formula quartile function. So, QUA. So, when we do this, when we type these three alphabets, we are getting quartile.exe and we are also getting quartile.inc. We want to include these observations also. So, we are using quartile.inc, means inclusive. So, double click, give the data range. So, we are giving the data range B2 to B6 and first we want the third quartile. Hence, we are using the number 3. So, type 3, close the bracket and then we are supposed to find out the difference. So, minus again quartile QUA. So, quartile dot inc because we want to include the observation also and we also want to give the data range. And this is the first quartile. So, separate it by comma and press 1 and close the parenthesis. So, here we are supposed to give one more closing bracket because we have started with one opening bracket in the beginning after the equal to symbol. So, here equal to sign, not symbol, equal to sign. So, here we will close this with a closing parenthesis and press enter. Now, we got the answer as 20. So, suppose if we want to look at what is the first quartile and what is the third quartile, we will see here. Now, suppose I want to find out what is the first quartile. Now, if we can see here, is equal to quartile. I want the first quartile first to be found. So, close the parenthesis and then press enter. So, it is asking you have entered too many few arguments. Just let me check. Okay. It is asking, I have not given whether it is first quartile or whether it is third quartile. So, just simply comma. I want the first quartile. So, press 1. So, 1 second. Let me give this data once again. So, select the data range B2 to B6, comma, 1 first quartile, close the bracket and press enter. So we got the first quartile as 20. And now I want the third quartile also is equal to quartile. Give the data range. So B2 to B6, comma, I need it the third one. Okay. Close the bracket and press enter. We got 40. Now 20 and 40. So the formula is equal to quartile dot inc, that is inclusive, and we are going to give the data range. Third quartile minus first quartile divided by 2. So here we have forgotten to give the divided by 2. I just give you the divided by 2 answer. So this is 10. So here also I am going to do the same. So here I am giving you is equal to, first we are supposed to find use the third quartile, that is 40, which is in D9 cell, minus first quartile which is in D8 cell. For this we are supposed to give half of this value, that means divided by 2. I am using the brackets over here and then simply divided by 2, enter. So we are getting the answer 10. So which is absolutely equal to the quartile deviation value 10, and here also 10. Now let us see the third one, that is mean deviation. Mean deviation is nothing but summation of x minus mean divided by 2 divided by x minus mean divided by n number of observations, that is the summation of the mean deviation. So here we suppose if we want to use the formula, we can use it the formula individually, or else we can directly use the function. So what is the function? If you do remember for mean deviation, let us go back to our previous session slides. So if you can look here, the formula for mean deviation is average of deviation for the data range, average deviation, and we can also see the formula summation x minus mean divided by n, which I was telling. It is the average of absolute deviations from the mean or median. We can either do individually stepwise using this formula, or directly we can use the Excel function. We will see in both the cases whether the answers are same or not. Okay. Now for this, what we are going to do is, let us take all this data set. So simply here I am copying, I am just pasting for your clear understanding. Now here what we are going to do, I am going to find out the average first. So is equal to AB. When I type, I am getting the drop down menu. So simply I am selecting the average. I am supposed to give the data set and close the bracket and press enter. Now here I got the average as 30 for this data set, which consists of 5 observations. Now here in this, we are supposed to find out what is the deviation of each observation from the mean. So for that reason, what we are going to do is equal to each data set minus, means we are going to find out the deviation, minus this 30, which is in F8. But if we give here only the cell value, it is going to change when we are dragging down. So we are supposed to give here the absolute value. So simply here press F4 key. So when you press the F4 key, we are going to get the dollar symbol in front of the cell address, which is nothing but the absolute address, and press enter. So 10 minus 30, which gives minus 20. Similarly, we will just keep the cursor over here and simply drag down. So when we drag down this, automatically we are getting minus 20, minus 10, 0, 10 and 20. Now for this, we are supposed to find out the absolute values, because we are getting the formula in mod of x minus mean divided by n, that is the summation total of that. So for this, what we are going to do is we are going to find out the absolute value. So for finding out the absolute value means to get the positive value of whatever it is existing, we are having a default function in Excel that is equal to ABS. So when we type ABS, it is going to return us the absolute value of that number. Simply double click and give the cell address. So we are going to get the absolute value of minus 20, which is 20. In the similar manner, we can drop down this. So when we drag this, we are going to get the absolute values for the remaining data set, remaining observations in the data set. Now to this, we are supposed to do the total, means summation. Sum means we are supposed to do the total. So here is equal to sum. So when we do this sum, just double click it and get this observations and close the parenthesis and press enter. We got 60. Now for this, we are supposed to find out summation x minus mean divided by n. How many observations are there? 5 observations are there. So simply is equal to this 60 divided by 5, which we are getting it as 12. So instead of doing all these steps directly in Excel, we are having a default function for mean deviation, which is known as average deviation also, and that for particular function is equal to AV. When we type AV, automatically we are getting here in the drop down list AVDEV, average deviation. Double click it and give the data set. So simply select the observations in the data set, give the data range and press enter. So directly we got 12. Now if you can observe here, see, we got here 12 by using the function, and here also we got 12 by using the formula, by following the steps. So in either cases, we are going to get the same kind of value, that is mean deviation. Now when it comes to variance, as we have discussed in the previous session, for variance and standard deviation, we are having two types of default functions in the later versions of Excel, and that is, one is for population and the other one is for sample, where sample represents the part of the population. So here we are going to use is equal to var. Okay, when we type here 3 alphabets var, we are getting here in the drop down list var.p and var.s. So simply first select the population one, var.p, where we give the data set and then press enter. So we are getting 200. Now suppose if we consider this data set as sample instead of total population, now here itself we will be using var.s. So is equal to var.s, second one, and we are supposed to give the data range. So simply close the bracket and press enter. We are getting 250. Now if you notice this, the population value is 200 and whereas the sample value is 250. We find some kind of difference when it comes to population and sample. So what is this difference? This difference is nothing but we are considering the sample. In sample, we are taking the denominator as n minus 1, whereas in population, we directly take n as n only. So for that reason, we get the value difference, and that value difference is nothing but Basel correction. That value difference is nothing but Basel correction. Now, let us move on to the standard deviation calculation. Now here also we have two default functions in the latest version of Excel, that is standard deviation with respect to population and with respect to sample. So is equal to standard deviation, the default function is std. When we type, automatically we are getting down in the Excel functions stdev.p.s. So first we will go with the population. So give the data range, then close the bracket and press enter. So we got 14.14214. Now similarly, let us go with the standard deviation of a sample is equal to std. So automatically we are having here stdev.s. So when we select this one and when we are giving the data range and close the parenthesis and press enter, we got the standard deviation with respect to sample. So whether this answer is correct or not. So we have already seen standard deviation is nothing but the square root of the variance. So here is equal to where? Okay, square root of the variance. So here square root. So square root also we are having a formula SQRT. So simply select this one and give this cell address 200, that which is in B10, and press enter. Yes, we are getting standard deviation 14.14. And similar is the case here. Suppose if we want to find out the square root for this variance 250, which is existing in cell C10, and press enter, we are getting 15.8. We can either do in that way, or we can directly find out using the default function standard deviation. So in today's session, we have gone through all these Excel functions, like how to calculate the range in Excel, how to calculate the quartile deviation, how to calculate the mean deviation, how to calculate variance, how to calculate the standard deviation. And we have also seen how to find out the quartile deviation step-by-step procedure, how to calculate the mean deviation step-by-step procedure. And in either cases, when we are using the default function as well as when we are following step-by-step procedure, in either cases, we are going to get the same answer. So, this is the absolute measures of dispersion, which are calculated or which are computed in Excel. So far you have seen all these functions, how to compute all these functions in Excel. So we shall meet with some more interesting topics in the forthcoming sessions. Until then, stay tuned. Thank you.